Good morning, friends. Let's talk onion. This is the way we start our onion seeds. To get them going, we've got some already inoculated here. They're dried out. But these are shallots. We use a mineral mixture: sulfur, cobalt, copper, manganese, molybdenum, and zinc. Seed starting mineral. What we do, we take about 1 cc to start. Squirt how many seeds you got. Drop that down in there. And what you want to do is you want to coat those seeds. You want to coat these seeds real good. This mineral is being chelated, so it's plant available. You don't have to worry about the microbes breaking it down. And plus, since it's been chelated, the microbes love it. That's just a little bit too much. It's still real wet, but we'll fix that problem. Next step, we inoculate them with mycorrhizal fungi. This is called Biocoat Gold. It's from AEA. It is, it's worth its price in gold. This is a 1 acre bag. That's all you need. It's actually too much, but we don't want to get horrified. And then the bacteria. This is legal in Pennsylvania, but you can get the spectrum anywhere in the United States. I think they even ship them to Canada. They're working on UK, Australia. This has got a lot of your nitrogen fixing bacteria in it. Then you mix these up real good. Get them all coated. Don't forget to keep a label with them. And sometimes we have 40 or 50 seed starts at a time. Especially when all the pumpkins and watermelons and cucumbers and squashes and zucchinis and cabbages and tomatoes and peppers and then you let that dry. Some more little fellers. But that mineral will start loosening up that seed. So when these seeds come out, they'll have every mineral that that seed needs. That's what it looks like. Those seeds will be dark black because these are already dried. And once these dry, all you do is just crumble them back up. And you can put them in a seeder if you want, whatever you're planting, and go at it. We'll leave these over here. So an onion. Onions has a low salt tolerance. So you got to watch out for your nitrogen applications. And you want to avoid the nitrate fertilizers. Your nitrate fertilizers have got a lot of salt in them, especially your chemical ones. So what we use the amino nitrogen and very little of it. This is some of our mixtures we got here on the farm. Thought we'd make a little extra money every year. And that mixture has 5% nitrogen, which is amino acid. And that's the nitrogen you want, it's aminos. So it's plant available. It don't burn your bacteria in the ground. And it don't shunt your fungi. Because if you use the triple number NPK, and that onion, when it starts growing, it relies on that NPK. And most of your bacteria and your nitrogen will stay away from that root zone. It'll be like a little barrier. And when that NPK wears out, and you're not sitting there spoon feeding it through your drip systems or however you feed them, well, you're losing half your crop on your onions. Your insects will pick it up. You'll start getting diseases. And you don't want that to happen. So this mixture here we got is nitrogen 5%, phosphate 11%, soluble potash is 2%, calcium is 13%. And we want our vegetative growth in the onion stages to rely on calcium. You don't want it to rely on nitrogen. If you can get that vegetative growth to rely on calcium, your microbes and your fungi will feed that plant everything it needs. It'll work with each other in the ground. It's amazing. So the first 12 weeks of your onion's life, you want to feed it, and you want to break it up in 4 feedings, because that's when it's in its vegetative growth. And you want to feed it your calcium, which we use gypsum, because the onion loves sulfur. So we use the gypsum to get our calcium and our sulfur. And we just applied it out in the garden to get it ready. So in about 45 days, hopefully, we'll be able to plant these onions, and the calcium will be sitting there waiting on the onions. But this mixture's got magnesium in it, 0.60%, sulfur, 0.90%. It's got iron, 0.16%, manganese, 240 parts per million. It's got copper, 55 parts per million. Your zinc is 300 parts per million. Your boron is 1,500 parts per million. Your carbon to nitrogen ratio is 6:1. We make our own biochar here on the farm, and we inoculate the biochar with our own compost. We do roughly maybe a ton and a half a year. And we put 2,000 parts per million in with all this mixture. And it's according to what your crop you're growing, you can inoculate it with your mycorrhizal, BioCo Go, or you can put different bacterias in it. It's just according to what you're growing and what you want to do. Your brassicas, you want to rely more on your bacteria than your tomatoes, even your onions, your peppers, your pumpkins, your corn, your pastures. You want to push that more on the fungal side. And we've been at this on this land for 5 years, and we're still pushing the fungal. We We've been taking soil samples and we look at it underneath the microscope, and we're nowhere close. And I haven't found a place anywhere, not saying there's not, but the soil samples I look at, everybody is low on fungi, no matter what kind of fungi it is. The only reason your bad fungi attacks your plants is because there's not enough good fungi to go with that bad fungi to make it switch. Because if there's enough good fungi, your bad fungi will become good. You don't have to worry about that fungal disease. So yeah, that's the this is for 1,000 square feet right here. We got our soil report in, which this is around the garden. This is what it looks like. I'll touch on it just a little bit. I mainly worry about the boron, 3 parts per million, which were always low. For every inch of rain we get, or you get, or anybody gets, you need to apply 1 pound of boron back on that ground. So every year we put 4 pounds of boron back on our property. We got a couple neighbors in the Mennonite community. They put up to 10 pounds of boron per year in their hay fields and get tremendous growth. Because without boron, your calcium can't function well. So your boron is your trigger for your calcium. Your sulfur, you get that from your gypsum. We're holding at a pH here on the farm around a 6.8. So we'll apply a tremendous amount of gypsum, about 200 pounds in the spring, 200 pounds in the fall per acre here. And we'll do that for about 3 or 4 years. We'll take another soil sample. And if our pH is starting to drop a little bit, we'll hit it with lime in the springtime to bring that pH back up. And we'll continue the gypsum applications with the sulfur. All your calcium pretty well in the ground. Your calcium is a very heavy mineral. It's the heaviest mineral there is, and it sinks. And it'll go down to find its magnesium in your sodium line, which is your hard pan. And that's where all your calcium sits at. So you want your calcium in your top 1 to 2 inches of your ground or your soil. And you always want to feed that. Because like I said, you want your vegetative growth on your plants to rely on calcium and not nitrogen. Because we should not have to put nitrogen on our gardens, because every breath you take, you're breathing nitrogen. So long as you get that bacteria in the ground, it will switch the air nitrogen into growing nitrogen for your plants. But you got to have that calcium and that sulfur to make it work, and plus your boron. If you have any questions about your other micronutrients, we can go deeper. I mean, we could talk about this for 3 or 4 days. I love my minerals. I love my plants. But yeah, once these dry out, we'll plant them in these seed trays. And we'll line them up. And once we get all of our onions planted, we'll move on to another crop. Yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the comments, email us. It's on our homepage. Like, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Later.